Hello, friends. How are you doing? You're welcome back to my channel. It's so good to have you here. And today we'll be looking at the fourth part of our task tracker application. And if you've been following me, you'll know that we began this application some weeks back, and um, we've made a whole lot of progress. Currently, this is where we are, and this is what our application looks like. And then this is what we are looking to create. This is a full application which was done with Vue.js, but I decided to recreate it with React. So, and today I would like to add a particular functionality to our application, which is this. So basically, if you take a good look at this application, you'll see that it's actually close to, or what we are currently working on, right? Is really close to it, but there's still a whole lot of things to add, right? So and today I want to work on this button right here. So when I click on this close button, this add task form closes, right? And then it changes to a button add task. And when I click on the add task, it opens the form and the button changes to close. So I want to work on this particular functionality today. Currently on our app, it does not work. You can see I'm clicking it and it's not doing anything. So I'll be working on that shortly, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and thank you for your comments. So let's get right into this lesson. So I'll head back to, I'm going to just close this View app right here, the View project, and I'm going to head back to my React project and start it up using npm start. Yeah, so, and we're going to be working on this button. So what's the first step to take? So, all right, it's going to be starting in a few seconds. Let me head over to my header component because that is where my button resides. My add task button is, yeah, this is where it is. So first of all, I would like to, okay, but I'm just looking at this now. I think what I'm supposed to have here is close, right? Since the form is already open, but it doesn't really matter right now. Okay, my project is still starting up, so I'll just change this to close, right? And yeah, it's starting up in a separate tab, in a different tab. So I'll just go ahead and close this one and wait for it. Okay, I also close. Okay, this is a screenshot of the app. Okay, no, it's not the screenshot. This is a screenshot, like right here. So I think I can also close this one. Okay, let me just leave it right here. So after changing this to close, um, I'll I would like to change the color, right? Okay, yeah, it's open now and it's been changed to close. I would like to make it such that the color would change based on an on-click event. So I'm just going to, okay, I have a background color here of green in my styles file, right? But let's just go ahead and add an on-click event here, right? Um, what do I call it? Button click. right? What's okay? So, inside of my component, I'm going to create that function called button click equal to. Okay, so yeah, so to test that out, I'm going to add a console.log to say button was clicked, and let's see what that looks like. So I'll just inspect, open up my console right here. Just in case you're wondering how I got there, I just did a right click on my application and then clicked on inspect. Right, so let's clear this and click on close. So we see button was clicked, so this works. So right, so if the button, if we click on the button, okay, actually, let me give this a background color of red, right? I believe there's a way to add my styles in here, and I'll say background color of let's see what that looks like, red. Yeah, it works, but it's kind of it's kind of really bright. I believe there's a color called orange red. Okay, this is kind of better. Yeah, so and I want whenever I click on the close button, right? The text is changed, right? To add task, and the text is changed. Okay, and also the color is also changed. So let's see how we can work on that before making the form to disappear and appear. All right, so I'm gonna have two sets of states. I'm gonna create two sets of states. Let's say let's call this button color, set button color equal to use state. This is gonna have to be imported, and my VS Code is gonna do that for me right here. So set button color. Let's give it a default color of orange red, right? So yeah. So whenever we click on the button, I want to change my button. Okay, the next thing I need to do is change this, to my button color state, my button color variable. Button color variable. So when I click on the button, I want to change the color, right, to something else like green. So let's see if that works, and it works perfectly well. So, but we also want to change it back, right? So let's say something like if button color is equals to orange red, we want to set it to green, else we want to set it to orange red, so we can switch between the two colors like so. So this works right now. The next thing we want to change is the text. Okay, so let's create another state for the text. Call it button text. Set button text equal to use state, and we're gonna have close, and we're also gonna change the value here to button text. Notice I'm gonna put them in curly braces before putting in my button text variable. So currently it's still going to be close. So I'm also going to add another set on another line of code to handle the text. I also think we could do that in here, right? We don't have to create another if statement for that. So if button color is equal to orange red, we want to set the button text to add task, right? And else we also going to be setting the button text back to close. Let's see how that works for now. And it looks kind of good right now, right? It looks nice. So we're making little progress. So the next step is to figure out how to work with our form. We want the form to disappear when we click on close and to appear when we click on add task. So let's find out how we can do that. So I would like to get rid of this console.log and go over to my form, my new task form, and let's try to figure this out together. Okay, so let's see. Let's add the style here. Let's say position. No, I think it's display. Let's give it in display of none. Oh, see what it looks like. So yes, this is exactly how we want it to look when it's closed, right? So let's figure out how we can make this work. Um, the current value for display is flex, right? Okay, so let's leave it at should we leave it as flex or let's leave it at none, right? So I would like to create a state variable for that. Let's call it form display set form display. Uh, and we're also going to have to import this, which my VS Code will do for me. Give it a value of none. Then we'll come over here and set this to form display. Oh no, no, we don't need to put it in curly braces, please. Form display. And it's working so far so good. So the next thing we're gonna try to do is figure out how to trigger this state when that button is clicked. Okay. So we are gonna have to um find out how to pass the state, right? So I'm going to be trying a couple of things as we go on because I don't have this all in my head. All right, so this is what I want to try. I want to pass some props to my new task form, right? I'm going to pass a message to it to figure out to know a message that's going to help our new task form to know if the button, the current state of our button, right? So let me do something like let me practice something like current button state, right? And back to in our app.js file, I'll have something like this: current new task one, right? Yeah, current button state. I hope I'm getting this well. current button state. Let's just leave it like this. And so heading back to our header, I also need to pass in a prop or a function, right? So let's say current button state. Let's put close right now, and let's just say put close for now. And going back to our new task form, I want to do something here, something like this. So I want to say something like if the current button state, right, is closed, then um our display is going to be flex, right? So we're going to display the form. But if the current button state is add, so I'm going to just use okay, let me just drop a comment beside this. So current button state, like okay, like can I drop that? The current button state could be close or add. So close. So let me see. Currently, the button now with the add task text. We're gonna call this the add state, right? This is the current button state is add, and when it's on close, we call it close. So I hope that makes some sense. So close or add. So heading back to our new task form, I want to say something like if the if the current button state is close, we can display our form. Let me just go ahead and do that in the use effects. So because we want this set of this particular code which I'm about to type to run as soon as this component is mounted, right? And it has a second argument here. So we'll say something like if current button state is equal to close, you can now set form display to reflex, and we have else. We would like to set the form display um, to none. So currently in my app.js file, I have set the current button state to close, and to close, right? So and if the current button state is closed, what do we say should happen? It should be flex. So it should actually display it should actually display my form, but it doesn't. So let's see why that is. Let's go ahead and reload this. Current button state is equal to close. I'm going to set the form display to a flex. Okay, let's put this as flex and see what it looks like. And it still doesn't work here. So I guess probably have some issue somewhere. Let's comment this out. Okay, our display is of. Okay, now this is back. We have a display of flex. None takes it away. So let's bring this back. Our current button state is close, right? So it should have a display of flex, but it doesn't. So let's go ahead and just comment some things out. Control the log some things. Current button state. What does it see as the current button state? Close. It's kind of okay. I think there's an issue here. Let's try current button state dot current button state because it's kind of displaying an object. So what I should have here actually is props, right? I should have props here, and then I'll have something like props of current button state. Same thing here, props dot current button state, and right now it works, right? Because when you pass in some when you pass in this props here, it's actually like an object. So whatever property you're passing into your component is going to be a property in that object. It's going to be like a part of that object. So if I want to add something else like let's say I want to add, what else can I add here? Value. And I want to like reference, I want to find out or reference that value from inside the component. I'm going to have to use props of value, right? So now it looks like it's working. So when the current button state is closed, the form is out, right? And let's try to say the current button state is add, it should disappear, like the form should go away. Let's go back here. It props the current button state, close, else set from display none. Oh, okay, I had to like reload it. Okay, that's fine. So, but we are still not yet done because we need this to be dynamic, right? So, how do we make this dynamic now? I'm thinking, right? We need a property. We need to pass a property to our header, right? That is gonna trigger something in our app.js file. That's gonna send a message to our form component that this button has been clicked. So let's say let's add on. Okay, let's just add props here, right? Um, props, right? Um, and also I just remembered that if you actually want to, if you actually want to use, you don't always have to write props here, right? If you actually want to, let's head back to our, yeah. If you actually want to use the current button state, you don't always have to do props like this. You could just put in your curly braces and then use current button state directly, right? Then let's get rid of the props. We don't need them anymore. So, and it will still work perfectly well. This just came to my mind. So yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Where were we? Are back here. So I would like to add a property here. Let's call it on click and and click. So I'm gonna pass in a new property here, but let's call it set button state, and in a second you'll see how that works. Set button state. Um so we're gonna also call that method for that function right here. Let's set button state in the first part of the if statement where the button color is orange red. Let's set the button state to add, and then second part of the condition, let's set it to close. No, close. So heading back to our app.js file, we're going to reference that here, set button state, and we're going to give it a new. I'm going to create another state for the button state variable, another variable, or another state variable, set button state. Initially, it's supposed to be, what's it supposed to be? I think it's supposed to be on close, right? Because do we want the form to be visible? Yes, we do. So let's say add, right? And I'm going to call set button state in here. And at the same time, okay, yeah, I'm going to call this in here. So do you know what's going to happen here? Whenever um the button is clicked right here, it's going to trigger a function. It's going to call this function right here, and this function is is going to be used to set the button state, right? So that's how it's going to work. So the next thing I'm going to do is to change this value to button state. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Close. Okay, so let me just reload that first of all. And firstly, I think we agreed that that we want the form to be visible. So let me head over to I think it's, yeah, this, and give it a display of flex. It makes sense that way. I think I have to reload this. I wonder why. Display of flex. What's going on? Also, we want this use effect to only run whenever there's a change in the form display, right? Current button state. Current button state equal to close. Only when there's a change in the current button state. Okay, I'm trying to figure out now why our display of flex is not working. Let's see. So it seems to appear and then disappear. Let me reload that again. And our console.log, I think I need to bring it back. Console.log, what are we consoling? What are we logging? We're logging our current button state, yeah. So what does that look like? So it's on add, right? And we said that if the current button state is add, oh, I see. If the current button state is add, it should set the form display to none. So how do we override this? Let's go back to our app.js. The current button state here is actually add. Let's see and make it close. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, because when the form is visible, we want the button to be on close here. We want the button to be displayed, the close button to be displayed. Okay, so and when we click on close, it disappears. When we click on add, it appears. Close disappears. Add appears. Close disappears. Add appears. Okay, so I think we have accomplished our mission for today and we can take some break. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to drop a comment if you have any questions and I'll be glad to answer. Right, so I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for your comments. Bye.